Nashville is alive with music, sure, but creativity also thrives in our art, marketing, technology, food, and in every corner of our community. On Creative Assembly's The Spark podcast, our mission is to amplify Nashville's diverse creative voices, foster growth through shared journeys, and inspire a city that thrives on collaboration. Each episode will take a deep dive into the lives and passions of Nashville's most innovative minds. We'll explore their creative processes, the challenges they face, and power of collaboration, along with so much more. Welcome to the Spark Podcast, brought to you by Snapshot, a digital agency on a mission to serve with heart, execute with excellence, and build something bigger together. And now, here's the Spark.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Spark, where Nashville's leaders share why they lead, what excites them, and how they're shaping our futures. Today, we're honored to have Mark Blaze, the newly appointed President and CEO of the Greater Nashville Technology Council, with us. With deep roots in tech leadership, from top roles at Dex Imaging and Groove Construction to service on nonprofit boards, Mark brings strategy, community passion, and bold ambition to Nashville's tech ecosystem. Let's dive into his vision, leadership journey, and why this moment matters for our region. Hey, Mark, man, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on today. God, we've known each other for a long time, and I've enjoyed watching your journey, man. So thank you for being a part of the show.
I'm honored to be here. I think I may have even had hair when we first met each other. It's that long ago, but no, and likewise, I'm watching, what you've done. There's some elements of parallel in different areas, but I think, I watch what you do for the community, and it's inspiring. So.
Wow, man. Well,
Appreciate
thank you. Well, I can't wait to dig into what you're going to do for the community now, what you've been doing. But, as we get us started today, why don't you just take the audience on your journey from Leeds to from Leeds, England, to becoming a U.S. citizen, to really what drew you into the Nashville community?
Certainly. So I moved and came over to college. I came over on a golf scholarship, had these aspirations I was going to be a great golfer, and it doesn't take long for you to realize if you're not good enough. And I heard some wise advice recently related to leadership, and I equate it to my decision back in the day. And that was, you want to find people that are passionate about something, but also have the ability. What I realized is I was passionate about golf, but I was not going to make a living playing golf. So college here, loved the United States of America. It's just the land of opportunity. I think if you speak to a lot of folks that move here, some immigrants, we may get bad press from people that have grown up here all their lives. Ask immigrants, they love this country. And it just resonated, and I said, this is where I want to be. So first step in that process was I decided, and I'm not an academic, but I was I'm going to get my master's because that can keep me here for 2 years. Got my master's, of course, helps assisted in career. So moved to Nashville in 2002 and had the opportunity, and through some great friends who embraced me and gave me wise advice, I'd like to believe I became part of the community, which is important to me. And fast forward to last year, see an opportunity at the Greater Nashville Technology Council. And it just resonated because I felt I knew I have the skill sets to do a good job and really meet the needs of the position. But more than anything, it gave me the opportunity to get a reward of doing something and giving back to the community. And that's what excites me.
Yeah, man. Well, I can't wait to dig into this a little bit more. But, what do you think, before the Tech Council, you Groove Construction, I know you did, a big position there in business development and sales, and then you went and ran Dex Imaging and Mailing for the entire state of Tennessee for the longest time. And I guess, maybe we can dig into those just a hair, and then also like how'd they set you up for taking on this role with the Greater Nashville Technology Council?
Yeah, I moved to Nashville for Dex Imaging to take that position, and it was the leadership role. And we were pretty much a startup. We'd made an acquisition, and it was a startup, and it was exciting. It gave me the opportunity to have input in a leadership role. And I could never have realized how great it was to be in Nashville, Tennessee. Had friends, I was in Memphis, had friends, they were, come to Nashville, and I wore Memphis like a badge of honor, was not looking to move, but the opportunity arose, and it's been beyond my expectations of how great it's been. And I will say the core of that comes back to the people. In Dex, I got to meet so many great folks, and the opportunity at Groove was born out, came from a friend who gave me an opportunity to work with him. So those were great. What they, I believe, did for me is they gave me a foundation of strategic thinking that I can apply to the role. They gave me a network within this community to where it can benefit the organization, the council, and they both gave me a love of this community. And I know that's a repeat, but that's the reoccurring theme.
Mm-hmm.
So again, working for a nonprofit organization that can benefit the community is that's why I'm in the role I'm in.
Yeah, you're Mark. You're so uniquely suited to this role just because of being the connector that you are. I mean, I've known that about you over all the years we've known each other, is just how connected you are with not just, people, the right people in Nashville that really have made a big impact in the city itself, and continue, I know, to make big impacts, because when I've came to some of the NTC events, I see a lot of them there. So you've been able to rally your network to get behind you and everything that you're going to do. So super excited to see where you're going to take this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I got great friends.
Yeah. Well, one, just going back to like maybe Dex or maybe even Groove, one of those could be even outside of that. I've heard over the years how many people like you've impacted as far as like mentorship, and man, I've learned a ton from Mark, and he's been a key reason why I've been successful. You've mentored a lot of people. Who's been there to like mentor you along the way in your journey?
Great question. There's a gentleman when I was in Memphis, Tennessee, called Irvin Scott, and Irvin, very wise individual. Personalities were totally different, and he's very calm, reserved individual, but again, very wise and great advice. And I will say, when the opportunity to move to Nashville, even though he was a Memphis resident, we sat down, discussed it, and he said, you know where you need to go. So Irvin's been a great mentor. I moved to Nashville, and Ralph Schultz, Fawzi and Ferdowsi, individuals that in my own mind at the time, they embraced me and took me under their wing and gave me some advice related to Nashville and this community. And so I've been fortunate. Now, I do have one I'll share that's probably I'm really excited about. I have a mentor now, and it is a reverse mentor. And this is a young man who is going to help me have a better understanding of his generation. Student at Vanderbilt, Akbar Kamadov. He, in a couple of meetings we've had, I've learned from him things that my hope is I'll be a better person from just learning from him. We're different, but I can learn from him. And maybe along the way I can give him some good advice.
Man, that is actually a great lesson for the audience. It doesn't always have to be somebody older than you, wiser than you. It could be, somebody that could teach you something like the generational gap that you might have. So that's incredible that you found that person.
Someone wiser than me gave me advice to do that. So
Yeah. Well, now let's get into the Tech Council and let's talk a little bit about what inspired you to apply for the NTC CEO role, and then what stood out to you about the Nashville technology community that we have here.
well, it's Nashville and it's the community, and it really is. It's some. This is my passion play. It's an opportunity to give back some to a community that's been very giving to me. As we said, we've known each other a long time, and this community has been so generous to me. I'm a big believer in technology and how it's going to impact the world we live in. So that also was a great fit because it's in a role that can be impactful in a place where I want to be impactful.
Yeah. What did you just see the job posting? Somebody reach out to you and say, "Hey"?
Oh no, I just plugged for LinkedIn. I mean, it was on LinkedIn, and I don't, I have a faith, so I think it was a God thing.
Yeah,
I believe it was, and because it wasn't where I was scouring through open positions. There was just a role where it was posted, I think, from someone I know. There was a board member, and it just resonated as soon as I read it. And, again, you've known me long enough. A lot of people scratch their heads, but the general consensus would be, hey, this is a great fit for you. But the Technology Council? So yeah. It's exciting.
Well, so I think you were selected out of about 600 different applicants that applied for this position. I mean, what do you think stood out about you to the board to get you in this opportunity? What have they told you?
Well, we've had discussions, and we've talked about this a little today, and that is, one, I hope and believe my passion for the role came through. This was not a job to me. This is something I feel large responsibility. Two, I believe the board and committee understood that I'd built relationships that could be very effective in the role. And I hope it came across some evidence. Here I am in the role, that I had a comprehension of how connecting beyond just the historical tech community, because now tech touches everybody's lives. And so I feel the committee, the hiring committee, saw that, I was the outlier, a little different from what historically they've hired. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate all the people that have served before me in the role.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that I'm in a time that, I'll be careful if my board chair hears this may come across wrong, but I think it's an easier position, the timing of it, because people want to embrace and support technology in this community.
Well, you're right, and there has been some great leaders at the Tech Council over the years, and in the early days of Snapshot, we used to work heavily with the Tech Council to help support them and their efforts around the award shows, and man, it was a great connection for us too. They were very giving, and I know we continue to be involved.
Absolutely.
So you've been in it now 100 days, I think a little over 100, because we were at an event the other night that was your 100 day thing. But I guess in your view, now that you've been in it for 100 days, how do you think the Greater Nashville Technology Council currently supports and strengthens the Nashville? There's $8 billion, there's 70,000 people that work in this industry. How do you think you guys can best support it?
Well, it's through programming is important. I'm a strong believer we have to emphasize our programming with a focus on education, and that can be from junior high to entry-level employees for workforce development to C-suite, because you're a leader, I've got the title as a leader, and we're both conscious of we can always learn. And I feel the council has a responsibility to provide that programming to help this community have the strongest tech ecosystem. But it's getting out there, promoting it. We do some amazing things already. I inherited a fantastic team that do amazing things. I think maybe a little bit of the thing that I can bring to the table is that promotion of what we're doing. Letting people know what we're doing, the good things. It's important.
But just getting the word out
Getting the
there
word
about
out.
what you're doing. Yeah, talk a little bit, like, since we're going down this path, maybe just talk about some of those programs that have, like, stood out to you. Like, what have you seen early on? I think you told a story about a young man that was in high school that you saw the council made a huge impact on. I know that was maybe one, but like, what have been some of the other things?
The program you're talking about is we work with Metro for the Max STEAM Camp, and we bring high school students, and at the younger end of the spectrum for high school, freshman, sophomore, and we teach them coding skills and life skills over the course of a 7-week program during the summer. And I believe the energy it gives me when I walk in the door and see these young adults committing to developing their skills, because it will be, I'm convinced, that particular program bringing some inner city kids in that sometimes may have been wondering where they got lunch during the summer. But they got up early, they came and put a day's work in, all to develop their skills, and they will be better for it. I'm 100% convinced. You referenced the young man, Bryson. I watched him. We had him where he got up to speak early in the program. And I think many of us have been there at that moment when you first do it. It's an uncomfortable situation. You've never had coaching. You've never been guided on that. Stand in front of your peers to speak is not fun. And it was evident he really struggled with it. But, I felt compelled to just tell him, hey, you know what? That's the toughest it will ever be. It's going to get easier and easier because you'll get better and better. And lo and behold, the end of the program, 7 weeks later, we have a closeout event. And who's got the mic being the MC at the final event but Bryson? And, that made me very happy.
Yeah.
To see, because there's a young man that's a life skill that's going to benefit him. And to the point where connecting the dots, it's beyond just Bryson. Let's take individual names out of it. That young man will benefit this community because he's grown and become more skilled, and that's good for everybody.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great story, too. I wanted to invite you to our next Creative Assembly gathering. It's our relaxed, bi-monthly networking event in East Nashville, where ideas spark over drinks and creative collaborations come to life. We meet at 1530 Riverside Drive with light snacks, refreshments, and plenty of free parking. Whether you're an agency owner, part of a creative team, a freelancer, student, or even a business owner curious about collaboration, you're always welcome at Creative Assembly. RSVPs aren't required, but they help us plan for space and treats. Just search Creative Assembly Nashville on Eventbrite or visit creativeassembly.agency/events for details and the RSVP link. Come ready for connections, conversations, and creative collaboration. We can't wait to see you there. Looking back at like the pandemic, and I know you weren't at the Tech Council then, but like how do you think, or what are you hearing today of how that impacted the way that like technology companies had to like innovate? And then like maybe it's how they still work today because of that.
Well, it's the woman, I think, when I got to the council, we have a water machine and it's touchless. And I'm like, that came from the pandemic. And they said, yes, certainly did. And that's just an example of innovation that the pandemic generated. But I think the pandemic impacted all organizations, how we work together. In the office, personally, it was very good for me to understand and really reset that people don't have to be in front of you all day long for the results. It's let's assess, okay, what are the expectations? What are the metrics we want to judge people on? And do they need to be in the office? Well, that was forced on us. Our hand was forced because we didn't get to go to an office. But I was a little old school and felt like, I wanted to see someone at 8 in the morning or 5 in the evening. I've changed personally from that. I see a lot of organizations understand and comprehend, what are our goals? Are we achieving our goals? And I'd like to think it's where we now are a little more respectful of our employees and their performance. It's not about time.
Yeah, it's about output.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And then I guess you and I, we've talked about collaboration quite a bit of, how a lot of organizations in Nashville could come together and create even bigger opportunities for each other. I guess, how do you approach collaboration, with other organizations out there? Or how are you going to, in the future?
The CIA. That's the group. It's the collaboration in action. And I'm really encouraged because in communicating with a number of folks, my counterparts in different, whether it be Sam at the EC, Stephanie at the Chamber, yourself, we've got a community that's special because we want to collaborate. I think we value and understand the premise of all ships rising. And so I think the intentionality is going to be the key, because as we all run around extremely busy in our day-to-day activities, we just got to say, okay, now let's have that focus and make sure that collaboration does occur. I know the desire is there, and I've got to make sure I'm not one that's guilty of, for all the desire, I don't act upon it. Because as we do it, we can set the tone within this country. Nashville has that uniqueness of how people really want to help each other. And I've been fortunate. I've lived in other countries, other cities. It's not everywhere has that mentality.
Well, it's having that mentality, and your vision for that is what it takes. Getting the leaders together to, rising tide raises all ships, right?
I think, and it's, one of the things I think we all understand the lanes that we are best suited for, and then help each other as we're driving down the interstate, because there's a number of lanes in the interstate.
Yeah. What do you think, talking about culture, what do you think is, maybe the most important thing about building culture at the NTC, like I've seen you build in the past with other companies?
People gravitate to where, things they love. And, having, starting with, for example, the team. I want a team that loves what they do. I want to be able to help in that process. We all having worked for people in the past. You love working for someone that you respect and enjoy being around. So hopefully I can bring that to the table. But loving what you do, not saying that you like it every day of the week, but I really believe it's that sort of passion and love for the mission of the organization. All pulling the rope in the same direction. Again, just a little over 100 days, it's really is impressive to me, the team I have and their commitment. So I just got to not screw it up at this point.
I don't think you will, man. You've talked about a few initiatives down at the NTC, and I guess, what is there one that stands out that you're most proud of in the first 100 days?
I referenced the MAC program, and I love, just to me, if we can help the younger generations and give them a platform. We talk at the council how Zip codes don't discriminate against talent, but they can discriminate against opportunity. And we want to eliminate that zip code discrimination against opportunity. We want everybody to have an opportunity because by doing so, it benefits the entire community. So that's a program I'm really excited about. We've got a lot of programs in mind. We have some planning sessions coming up. And, the directive I gave to the team, as I said, craziest, wildest ideas. I want to hear them, see them, and let's determine if they can be, how did they impact the community? That's to the core of why we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've heard you emphasize NTC's mandate for like connecting, uniting, developing, promoting. I guess, how do you think this is going to guide the strategy of you all moving forward?
So they're the core values of what we look to do. When those 4 words hopefully resonate to anybody that hears them. They're positive. They're going to have a benefit. So we want to do that. But we are looking at, okay, how do we do this on a go-forward basis to be most effective? And, one of the things, Mark, is I look at, it is the Technology Council, but one of the things I shared with the committee during the hiring process is I'm in this role to impact the entire community. It's, that's what we have, we have the opportunity to do. We're in that position. We have the potential to have that positive impact on the entire community. So with those as the foundation, we're building a strategic plan for how we do that. And again, that's going to work through something you referenced earlier, collaboration, having that plan, collaborating with others, because synergy does exist when you work with others. I used to scratch my head when I was younger and, no, I don't know how 1 + 1 can actually equal more than 2. But you put the right people together and amazing things happen.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that I've heard you mention a little bit is not wanting the NTC to be an also ran. I'm not sure of that. Maybe you can, just talk about how that's going to elevate the Nashville Tech.
The also ran. I don't want us to be deemed as a reasonable, decent organization. I want us to be the best technology council, the gold star, the benchmark, and that goes beyond the South, goes beyond the United States of America. I have that much belief in Nashville and its potential. There's things, we've talked about the people. Let's talk about the geographic positioning. We've got a great position. There's so many positive factors that we have that potential. How do we reach a point of international prominence? And that's why, that's the standard. That's where the goal. I want to be where someone from pick a country, any country on the planet, where you could reach out to someone in the tech space and they say, yeah, Nashville, Tennessee's doing great things.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you talked a little bit about international, and I guess maybe just, talking about some organizations out there that maybe you've been aware of, like the, West Yorkshire, the Health Tech Bridge. How does that play into your vision for the NTC?
Well, I don't know whether, West Yorkshire is where I grew up. So, remember I said this, I've got faith in this somewhat of a God thing. I laugh, I tell people I'm like the English Forrest Gump. Stuff just happens that I can't explain. West Yorkshire, where I grew up, now in alliance with Nashville, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. This is the epitome of where iron can sharpen iron. We can share ideas for the benefit. It's based around healthcare, which obviously is for the good of humanity. So sharing best practices. I've told you, Nashville, we're going to be the best. I think the onus will then be on us to share and help other areas improve. But the time right now, we've got to look and see, okay, if there's someone doing something great in another area, why wouldn't we, copy that?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I know we can share some great things for West Yorkshire. How great's that for me? My two favorite places on the planet get to benefit. So
You'll be the hero over there, right?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, you've been ingrained into the Nashville community for a long time. And I guess, how have you seen the Nashville technology and the creative, community evolve since you've been here?
Oh, it's light speed. Again, we think about when we first met and what was going on. We can look at just the talent that's come here, the talent that's been developed here, the opportunities grown, the organizations coming to Nashville, Tennessee. Amazon, Oracle, Alliance Bernstein, and I'm not trying to miss anybody because there's so many fantastic organizations that have come here because they see the potential of this area. Mm-hmm. And you look at it and, in tech, in creative, the beauty of it is, I think it goes back to that iron sharpens iron. And the standards we have now are just elevated. And I foresee they're going to continue in that vein.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned healthcare just a little bit ago, and Nashville's definitely known for healthcare. But how do you see the Tech Council bridging across healthcare and education, government, music business, all the now technology with, all the big companies moving into town? How do you see, the Tech Council bridging across all those different verticals?
Well, I think we all have some different needs, but we also have some common needs. And I think it goes back to if we communicate effectively, we've got the best chance of meeting those needs. And so the council, I look at the position I'm in, and I have a level of access that's been afforded to me I've never had. It's, I was in the for-profit world. Wow, I wish I'd had this level of access. And the really encouraging thing is I'm speaking to people on a daily basis that want what's best for Nashville. That just comes through time and time again. They want to succeed in their roles, but they feel that responsibility of, okay, is this the right thing for Nashville too? And that can be the for-profit world, the government sector, education. It just goes through the entire community.
Yeah.
And the council has a unique opportunity to be a conduit for those organizations and sectors.
Yeah. How do you think you and your team are going to measure success over the next maybe within 12 months? At 12-month mark, how do we measure success? I know the board probably has a measurement for Mark, and
we've got some metrics. We have metrics, but ultimately, to me, it's going to be more of a qualitative assessment as we communicate with our membership, with the community. People know whether someone's doing something right or not. And it's simple. Do you feel we're moving in a positive direction? Do you like the programming we're doing? We can ask a lot of those that are qualitative assessments for people. We have, a simple metric that is quantitative, and if our membership's growing, that's probably a good indicator that we're doing some things right, and it resonates with people. We've put in place where our team, we are going to communicate more with our membership and the community. We want candid feedback. Tell us if we're not doing something that you view is needed. Tell us if we're not doing something well. That's how we improve. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be communication is the greatest how we will judge and measure ourselves.
Yeah, it's almost communication, but also collaborating with your members. And so
Absolutely.
it's exciting to hear.
Oh, I wake up and pinch myself
Yeah.
because it's just fun.
Well, Mark, like beyond all your like business acumen and everything you've done in the past, one thing I know about you is how deeply involved you are in some nonprofits. And as I've watched you, I know you're involved in you've been involved or still involved in boards like Rocket Town, Special Olympics, Predators Foundations. There's many others you've actually contributed to. So, I guess how do your values like inform, your leadership at the NTC?
Well, I've been fortunate where I've sat maybe on the other side of the table where I've watched teams, and the ones that effectively achieve the goals of the organization, the nonprofits, and they move the needle and they have a positive impact on the community, they're built around the team and what they do and their commitment to the organization. And I see that where we have that opportunity. My goal is to expand our team. I want other people to have the opportunity to get up on a daily basis and have fun like I'm having fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I've watched really effective teams, and a lot of time it has stemmed from the leadership and how they treat their team, how the expectations they set for their team. So I've been fortunate to watch some great leaders in the nonprofit world. Adam at Special Olympics, Kenny at Rocket Town, Allison at St. Jude, Rebecca at the Predators Foundation. The one thing I will say, and I often used to scratch my head, is they seem to work incredible hours. And I think it goes back to now, I'm enjoying it so much it's not work. And that's, I see from each of them, I think that's the secret for them.
Yeah.
They just love what they're doing.
You just get lost in your work because you care so much about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I guess, let's just say I'm a young tech entrepreneur and I'm coming to you for advice. Like what advice are you going to give me about how to start a business here in Nashville?
Well, my starting is, you want to be relentless, do something that's going to have a positive impact doesn't need to be about the money. I know we've talked about Simon Sinek. I'm a big believer in his, it starts with why. So that would be the first thing I would talk to them about. Okay, why are you doing this? Let's have an understanding of that. And then I feel, a startup, we have a great community, and it goes back to that collaboration. Okay, you're a startup. Let's get you in touch with Sam at the EC, or is it Lindsay at Launch Tennessee? Let's connect you with the right people. There's so many people that are going to be, cheerleaders for you. Nashville, Tennessee wants people to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I laugh because I grew up in England, and it seemed to me, and it's not seemed, it's fact. England has a culture where they love to build people up and then bring them back down. I don't see that here.
Mm-hmm.
We love a success story, and we want to put those, rightfully so, we want to put those successes on a pedestal for others to emulate. And those success stories have those individuals then have a responsibility to help those that were now in the position they formerly were in. That's the culture we got, and it goes back to that, we talk culture.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about Nashville and why we can achieve so much greatness.
Boy, you're so right, Mark. Even over the years as we've built Snapshot, the opportunities I've had to get in front of people that had no reason to take a meeting with me, and they did, and not only that, but they helped me along the way. It's been pretty extraordinary. And what you just said about the Nashville community, I personally experienced as a upstart entrepreneur back in the day. So
they want you to succeed in that, and they love seeing what you've achieved.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there's a core, though, that I think Nashville weeds out the folks that are takers.
Mm-hmm.
It's, we have that community where if you're a giver, everybody's going to help you.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you'll succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I know I commend you on what you've done here at Snapshot. That's people saw that it resonated in them, and that's why you've got a lot of people want to help you.
Wow, man, appreciate that. What's as we start to wrap up the show, we'll go into a few rapid fire questions for you. But what's a rising tech trend that you're keeping a close eye on today?
So one, because it's a local relevance, we're Music City, and that's song tech.
Okay.
And I think it's something that is important for this community. We have so many people within that space. And you look at it, we could go down the path of AI. I mean, there's responsibilities associated with AI, of how it's ethically used. And I think song tech will be, I'm intrigued to see how it evolves and impacts the community.
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of people would mention AI, and I know you and I, we talked about AI before the show, and
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, Music City and the music tech, there's so many people in it right now.
Yeah, it's, an AI. I mean, here we are. We can't go through a conversation without AI.
We almost made it.
We nearly made it. Just about.
Yeah. What's a team building or leadership habit that kind of grounds you, Mark?
I always try to remember just when I started, what resonated to me. I can think of leaders and how they communicated with me and how they treated me that had a positive and a negative impact. And as human beings, we respond to others' behaviors. So those are some of the things. I'm not perfect at it, far from. But I do try to remember how, my emotions related to leadership and keep that in check. I work with people, they have lives. I'm always want to be conscious of that and what's going on in their life. Those are things I learned from someone smart who gave me that advice.
Yeah, man, that's really special. You're right. What's what's a personal fact about you that most people wouldn't know, that maybe we'd be surprised
So
of?
my brother is a world-renowned countertenor, singer. He used to perform all across Carnegie Hall, Sydney Opera House, Royal Albert Hall. He's performed at some of the highest venues as a soloist. He now actually has a position at Westminster Abbey. So he performed in the memorial service for the Queen and the coronation of the King. And I assure you, that is so not me.
You can't sing?
Oh, I'm great. Give me the mic. Well, I got the mic.
A couple beers and a mic.
A couple of
and
beers
you're
and an Oasis tune, and I'm ready to go. But my brother has a great voice. I mean, when I say world-renowned, he and a German gentleman at one point were considered to be the two best in the world.
Yeah. Well,
I'm proud of him. He's awesome.
That's impressive. Yeah, that's awesome. What is there anything, as we wrap up, is there anything maybe that I didn't ask you or that you want to share that you think might help the audience?
Yeah, I think, I referenced that in my role, I feel we can have a positive impact on the entire community. It's the Greater Nashville Technology Council, but I don't want people to get too caught up in the fact that we have the word technology in there. Yes, we've got amazing tech talent in our community, but now it impacts so many people. I want everybody to realize we're here to help. It can be HR, marketing, it can be, you name it, we can have a positive impact, and we want to, and that's our goal. So we're the community council.
Yeah. Well, just I want to tell a little personal story for the audience as we wrap up the episode. But you talked about, people that give along the way and how it makes a big impact in, you and people hang on to that. And, I would say the first time we met, a friend introduced, I was trying to raise money for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society because my dad passed away, and we were going to raise money running a marathon. And a former boss, Arnie, he said, man, you ought to go meet this guy, Mark. He runs DEX Imaging and Mailing, and, they may want to sponsor this. And so I was helping him, and he was helping me. I was helping him get a internal nonprofit up and off the ground, and he was helping me with connections, and so it was mutually beneficial. But I remember coming back and meeting you for the very first time, and you said, after I told you the story, you said, well, Mark, how much are you looking for? And I said, Mark, I don't know, man. Whatever you feel comfortable with. I was thinking 100, maybe 2, but back then I was thinking way too small. And you said, okay, I'm in for 1,500. And this is DEX Imaging and Mailing. They sponsored, this initiative. And, it really, stuck with me about you and, just how you, your values. And it really, made me follow your journey all along the way as we've got to today. And it just made a huge impact. And I just think it goes, that's who you are. That's what you do for people. And, I just want the audience to hear that little story from me.
That's kind of you say. It's, at the end of the day, you had to go do 26.2 miles. And, that's not easy. And, I look at it, and what's amazing is I now look at your journey and what you've done from, back then you probably weren't sure you were going to be able to do 26.2 miles. And now look at some of the things you've achieved. We have, again, there's church on Sunday, and we have a responsibility to encourage each other. I was blessed to be in a position where I could help. You could have asked me at some times, and I may have said, I got $5 for you, Mark, but I just was in a position where I could help, and I'm delighted I could, and it's kind of you to remember that.
Well, that gave me the confidence to keep going, because I really didn't know that we could raise the money it would take, and we ended up that year becoming the nation's top fundraiser. We raised $25,000 for an amazing cause that supports cancer research and children and and adults with leukemia, but mainly a lot of children are affected by it. So I really appreciate that. And Mark, appreciate all your wisdom on the show today. And it goes without saying, I know the community appreciates what you are going to do for the community in the technology space. It's you're right there. Nashville has the biggest opportunity here, and you are in a unique position to really influence the technology space in Nashville. And so appreciate everything you do, man. Thanks for being on the show. And that's a wrap with Mark Blaze. A huge thank you for sharing your path from global perspective to local leadership and your vision for the Greater Nashville Technology Council as a platform for growth, connection, and impact. If this conversation sparked new ideas or renewed our belief in what's possible, we've done our job. Be sure to subscribe, rate, leave a review, and share the spark so that we can continue spotlighting Nashville's creative, tech, and leadership stories. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep that spark burning.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Spark from Creative Assembly. Thanks for spending time with us and exploring the minds shaping Nashville's creative future. If you're walking away more inspired, connected, or energized, that's exactly the point. A big thank you to our sponsor, Snapshot, and the incredible team behind the scenes who make this show possible. Your support fuels every conversation and keeps collaboration alive. So if you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, stay creative, stay curious, and keep that spark.